Vacuum replacement. The first thing you need to do when you have to replace a vacuum motor is remove the cover. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the plastic plugs on each side of the cover to expose the screws that hold it on. These plugs have two tabs directly across from each other that need to be depressed in order for them to be removed. Using a 3/16 inch Allen wrench, remove the two screws on each side of the cover. Once the screws are loose, lift up the cover and tilt slightly forward at the same time to remove. Once you have the cover off, you will see that the vacuum exhaust fit into the two holes on the inside of the cover. Each vacuum is mounted to the machine by 3 bolts. To remove the vacuum, use a 7/16 inch wrench or a 7/16 inch socket and ratchet to remove these 3 nuts. Next, you will need to free the wires so you can completely remove the vacuum motor. Using wire cutters, clip the zip tie that holds the wires together. You will now need to find the 3 wires that connect to the vacuum that you need to replace. 2 are black and 1 is green. Using the wire cutters, clip the black wires right next to the connector. The green wire can be removed by unscrewing the screw on the top of the vacuum. At this point, the vacuum is free from the machine and can be lifted up and off. The new vacuum will slide easily into place. Reconnect wires and tighten down the lugs. Caution, only tighten bolts until the vacuum gasket begins to compress. Over-tightening the nuts can damage the motor. Once you are done replacing the vacuum, you will need to put the cover back on. Remember that the vacuum exhausts need to fit into the holes on the inside of the cover. Once you have the cover on, tighten down the Allen screws and replace the black plastic hole plugs, and you are done. Now we will show you how to replace the dump pumps. To remove the hoses that are connected to the pump, use the blue sliding disconnects found on the pumps at each hose fitting. Slide the blue disconnect away from the hose and the hose can be removed by gently pulling it and the hose barb away from the pump. Once the hoses are removed, you will need to free the pump from the machine by unscrewing the 4 screws with a Phillips screwdriver that hold it to the bottom of the machine. There are 2 on each side of the pump. The last thing you will need to do to remove the pump is remove the wires. Cut the zip tie on the wiring harness. There are 3 wires that go to each pump, 1 black, white, and a green ground wire. If you're only removing 1 pump, you will want to use the wire cutters to clip these 3 wires on the pump side of the yellow connector. Clip as close as possible to the connector. Now that the wires are removed, you can remove the bad pump and replace it with the new pump. Reconnect the wires, replace the screws, and reconnect the hoses, and you are done. Replacing a malfunctioning switch. To replace a malfunctioning switch, you will need to remove all the screws around the metal switch plate on the back of the machine. Once the switch plate is free, gently move the plate away from the machine. Mark the 3 wires that connect to the switch you are replacing so you can put them onto the new switch in the correct locations. Remove the 3 wires from the switch that need to be replaced. Depress the tabs at the top and bottom of the switch that hold it in place and push the switch out of the switch plate. Position the new switch in the correct direction, then snap the new switch into place. Replace the 3 wires on the connect terminals and screw the metal switch plate back onto the machine. Make sure you do not pinch any wires. Keeping the filters clean and other routine maintenance. First, we will start with the inline filters. There is one for each pump. Simply unscrew the cap on each inline filter housing. Remove the metal mesh filter inside the housing and clean. When it is clean, replace and screw the cap back on the filter housing. Inside the recovery tank are 2 more filters. To remove these filters for cleaning, simply unscrew them. Keeping these filters clean is very important. The last filter that needs to be cleaned is the mesh pre-filter that fits over the vacuum inlet on the inside of the recovery tank. This filter attaches with a drawstring. Keeping this filter clean is crucial. It is the first line of defense at eliminating large particles from entering the other filters. Other routine maintenance to do is to check and tighten all the hose clamps in the component area. If a hose clamp loosens up, a hose could pop off and flood the base compartment with water. Before starting the auto dump pumps, make sure to remove the cap from the back of the machine and attach a 3/4 inch garden hose. Before using the machine, make sure the vacuum shutoff float on the inside of the recovery tank is working properly and in the proper position. For technical assistance, contact Mike Harding by email at mikeh@usproducts.com or by phone at 1-800-257-7982, extension 117.